line. Every shred of ground they made had to be clawed away from the greater enemy. He had ex-wives and children that would tell anyone where his soul belonged, and their answer would always be to the Legion. Chapter 1. Westerly Complex, Earth, Soul System, 1-3206. It felt like they had all been looking at Sacramon disappearing into the distance just 5 months ago, not the 26 years that the calendar now indicated. "There's our little red ball," Tyler said, as they looked down on Earth's red clouds that moved slowly around the tiny marble that seemed to hang in the darkness of space. The only differences in color from the massive dust clouds were the clear areas where the larger towns were situated, or where other towers that weren't covered by massive electrostatic fields twinkled as the sun's light caught them. As they orbited Earth, they saw the dim lights of slums and the rail system that spread out from Mega City. It was the first time that they had seen Earth from orbit. When they had left, they were thrown into boot camp so fast that they hadn't even thought about snatching a look back at the planet they had lived on for 18 years. Tyler looked towards his family, thinking of them. Nothing else would make sense at this point. Jerome, Alexis, and Mark had all filled out with their time in the EMF, but the looks in their eyes showed the biggest changes. They had seen things that people shouldn't. The battle across Sacramon was brutal, but Tyler would not belittle another fight by saying it was any less or more brutal. Alexis squeezed him gently, as if sensing his dark thoughts. He smiled at her and pulled her closer with his arm which rested around her shoulder. Somehow they'd come together as boyfriend and girlfriend. He wasn't going to mess with it. The last of their merry group was Tyler's brother, Mark. They didn't share a single drop of the same blood, yet they were closer than most brothers that did. They had grown up in the slums, and on Tyler's 18th birthday, they joined Earth's military force to get out of the slums and try to make a life for themselves. Instead, they'd been dropped on Sacramon, one of a handful of colony planets that actually fought the EMF instead of surrendering as soon as their carrier arrived in system. Tyler felt Alexis's comforting heat as she coiled around his arm. His thoughts turned from the battles to the time he had spent away from Earth. They'd met nearly 60 years ago for people that didn't go into cryostasis. For them, it had been about 3 years since they left Earth. They'd become close during basic training, and some training Mark had forced on them. Rather close, in fact. Then they woke up above Sacramon, a planet of 7 million that supplied other planets with food. The locals didn't like the corporations lording it over them, and they rebelled. The corporations requested Earth's military forces, generally called the EMF, and they answered. Alexis never went to Growing City, which was the first city Mark, Jerome, and Tyler had assaulted. She went to Processing, her second city, which was an education for her. It was an education for all that survived it. Jerome was lumped with Mark and Tyler through their time on Sacramon. They became close as their friends died around them. They took losses that hadn't been seen in 7 decades. None of them were returning the same people. And yet it was hard to think that Earth had changed in any way. Force 5 will now start boarding shuttles for assigned leave, said the professionally neutral voice of the carrier's command center. Well, let's go and see how Earth's changed, Mark said. Tyler felt the seeds in his pocket as they walked through the familiar corridors to the shuttle bays. No one had any personal belongings, but they all grabbed the pistols they'd brought. They were allowed to use them anywhere they were deployed, including Earth. Their weapons attachments were stored with their armor rack. Everything